The end. The world will be destroyed. Also, the mighty ocean will dry up, and this broad earth will be burnt up. Therefore, sirs, cultivate friendliness, cultivate compassion, world cycles, and Vishuddhimagga. The solar system is not a structure that has remained unchanged for billions of years. Displacement of members of the system occurred in historical times, nor is there justification for the excuse that man cannot know or find out how this system came into being, because he was not there when it was arranged in its present pattern. Catastrophes have repeatedly reduced civilization on this earth to ruins. But our earth has fared well in comparison with Mars, and judged by the state of civilization at which mankind has arrived, conditions for life processes have been improved in some respects. But if events of this kind happened in the past, they may happen again in the future, with perhaps a different fatal result. The Earth has come in contact with other planets and comets. At present, no planet has a course that endangers the Earth, and only a few asteroids, mere rocks, a few kilometers in diameter, have orbits that cross the path of the Earth. This was discovered, to the amazement of scholars, only recently. But in the solar system there exists the possibility that at some date in the future, a collision between two planets will occur. Not a mere encounter between a planet and an asteroid. The orbit of Pluto, the furthest of the planets from the Sun, though much larger than Neptune's, crosses that of Neptune. True, the plane of the orbit of Pluto is inclined 17 degrees to the ecliptic, and therefore the danger of a collision is not impending. However, since the long axis of Pluto's orbit changes its direction, future contact between the two planets is probable if no comet intervenes to disrupt the intersecting orbits of these bodies. Astronomers will see the planets stop or slow down in their rotation, cushioned in the magnetic fields about them. A spark will fly from one planet to another, and thus an actual crushing collision of the lithospheres will be avoided. Then the planets will part and change their orbits. It may happen that Pluto will become a satellite of Neptune. There is also the possibility that Pluto may encounter not Neptune, but Triton, Neptune's satellite, and about 1/3 as large as Pluto. Whether Pluto will become another moon of Neptune, or will be thrown into a position much closer to the Sun, or whether it will free Triton from being a satellite, are matters of conjecture. Another case of intersecting may be found of the 6th satellite is interlocked with the orbit of the 7th, and the 8th satellite is highly erratic and crosses the path of the 9th. One should be able to calculate how long the 6th and 7th satellites have moved on their present paths. The figures will probably not be. Each collision between two planets in the past caused a series of subsequent collisions in which other planets became involved. The collision between two major planets, which is the theme of the sequel to Worlds in Collision, brought about the birth of comets. These comets moved across the orbits of other planets and collided with them. At least one of these comets in historical times became a planet, Venus. And this is the cost of great destruction on Mars and on the Earth. Planets thrown off their paths, collided repeatedly until they attained their present positions, where their orbits do not intersect. The only remaining cases of intersection are those of Neptune and Pluto, the satellites of Jupiter, and some planetoids, asteroids, that cross the orbits of Mars and the Earth. Moreover, comets may strike the Earth, as Venus did when it was a comet. In that major catastrophe, it was fortunate that Venus is a slightly smaller body than the Earth. A large comet arriving from interstellar spaces may run into one of the planets and push it from its orbit. Then chaos may start anew. Also, some dark star like Jupiter or Saturn may be in the path of the sun and may be attracted to the system and cause havoc in it. The scholarly world assumed that in some hundreds of millions of years, the heat of the sun would be exhausted, and then, as Flammarion frightened his readers, the last pair of human beings would freeze to death in the ice of the equator. But this is far off in the future. In a view of modern knowledge, that heat is discharged in the process of breaking up atoms, scientists are now prepared to credit the sun with an immense reserve of heat. The fear, if any, is focused on the possibility that the sun may explode. A few minutes later, the Earth will become aware of this, and soon thereafter will no longer exist. But the one end, that of freezing, is very remote. The other end, that of explosion, is very improbable. And the world is thought to have billions of peaceful years ahead. It is believed that the world has gone through eons of undisturbed evolution, and equally long eons are before us. Man can go far in such a span of time, considering that his entire civilization has endured less than 10,000 years, and in view of the great technological progress he has made in the last century. The average man is no longer afraid of the end of the world. Man clings to his earthly possessions, registers his land holdings and fences them in. Peoples carry on wars to preserve and enlarge their historical frontiers. Yet, the last 5,000 or 6,000 years have witnessed a series of major catastrophes, each of which displaced the borders of the seas, and some which caused seabeds and continents to exchange places, submerging kingdoms and creating space for new ones. Cosmic collisions are not divergent phenomena, or phenomena that, in the opinion of some modern philosophers, take place in defiance of what is supposed to be physical laws. They are more in the nature of occurrences implicit in the dynamics of the universe, or in terms of that philosophy, convergent phenomena, lest by chance restrained by religion, and we may read science instead of religion. You should think that earth and sun and sky, sea, stars, and moon must needs abide, look upon seas and lands and sky, their threefold nature, their three textures so vast. One single day shall hurl to ruin, and massive form and fabric of the world, held up for many years, shall fall headlong, and the whole firmament shall fall on the divine earth and on the sea, and then shall flow a ceaseless cataract of raging fire, and shall burn land and sea, and the firmament of heaven, and the stars, and creation itself shall cast into one molten mass and clean dissolve. Then no more shall there be the luminaries, twinkling orbs, no night, no dawn, no constant days of care, no spring, no summer, no winter, no autumn. A single day will see the burial of all mankind. All that the long forbearance of fortune has produced, all that has been reared to eminence, all that is famous, all that is beautiful, great thrones, great nations, all will descend into one abyss, will be overthrown in 1 hour. The vehemence of flames will burst asunder the framework of Earth's crust. The end.